Good morning, I'm Charlotte. Welcome to Wake Up Well this morning. And today we're going to be thinking about how we can discern the voice of God. But first, I wonder if I asked you to think of a famous voice, a voice that you can hear and without knowing anything else, you can say, aha, this is whose voice that is. Who might you say? Maybe you would say Sir David Attenborough, Dame Judi Dench, Morgan Freeman, or maybe the Queen. A voice that without hearing or knowing or seeing anything else, you can tell exactly whose voice it is. There is just one voice, though, that we should know above every other voice in our life, and that is the voice of God. But it's easier said than done. How do we know the voice of God? How do we discern what God is saying to us? There's a passage in the Bible, Romans 12, verse 1 to 2, and this is what it says. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Don't copy the behaviour and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. I love the second part of that passage. Don't copy the behaviour and customs of this world. Some other versions say, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Or in other versions, it says renewing your mind. Do not conform, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Our relationship to the world can impact our ability to hear and discern God's voice. And as this passage reminds us, our mind needs to continually be renewed and restored. But what does that mean? How can we renew our mind? Well, the truth is there are many, many voices in the world and in our lives today. Not just the voices of David Attenborough and the likes, but there are also the voice, for example, of consumerism. If only I had this, then I'd be happy. The voice of inadequacy. I'm just not good enough. The voice of expectation. My life really should look like this by now. And the voice of jealousy. I wish I had that thing or that lifestyle. But the Bible says, do not be conformed by these things. Do not let these things be the things that shape you or the voices that you listen to. But sometimes we don't even realise. And so the first step to renewing our mind is awareness. You see, here's the thing. When we aren't aware of the voices in our head or what it is that we're listening to, the things that we're letting speak into our lives, we go along with things, we conform. Our life goes in a certain direction. But when we are aware of the voices we're hearing, then we can stop and say, no, that isn't the voice that I'm supposed to be listening to. This is the voice that I am supposed to be listening to. And so discerning the voice of God starts with awareness in order that we are not passive and we do not just go along with things. If we are not aware, then we conform rather than let ourselves be transformed. And that is really simply where it starts. Awareness. What are the voices speaking into my life? Is it the voice of consumerism? Is it the voice of shame telling me that I am just not enough? Or is it the voice of God telling me exactly who I am, that I am a daughter of God? What are the voices? Am I being conformed, or am I allowing the voice of God to transform me? And so it's all about awareness. That's how we let ourselves not be conformed to the world around us. Awareness of which voices are speaking into our lives. And so my challenge for you today is simply this. Go about your day as normal as you would, but be aware of the voices that you are listening to. And pause every now and again and say, what is the voice that is telling me that? What is the voice that is shaping that belief or that belief system that I have? And is this something of the world that I'm just conforming to? Or is this the voice of God that I'm allowing to transform me? It all starts with awareness, friends. That's what it starts with, awareness of the voices and allowing the voice of God to be the one that transforms us so that we are not simply conforming to the world around us. Be blessed today and be aware of the voice of God above every other voice in your life today.